I definitely do not have time to go into the first demo that we did of code injection, but that's on our blog. All right, so that first part is the unlock code. It's the body of code that you want to run on the baseband. The second part is important. You need to get that code into the firmware, into the running firmware. You need to inject the exploit. You need to do it in a way that does not crash the firmware, because once the firmware crashes, that whole boot sequence takes over, chain of trust is reinforced, RAM is wiped out, anything that you may have patched in RAM is gone, and you're at square one again. What's interesting, the reason I mentioned GeriSim earlier is GeriSim was actually still present in the first release of the iPhone 3G. The hole was still there. They didn't actually fix it. Unfortunately, they did fix it soon after. They fixed it during the beta cycle before 2.0.1. This injection only works if you're jailbroken. The jailbreak is very important to the iPhone 3G soft unlock. You can only do this if you're running software that Apple does not want you to be running. The second bullet here, it's kind of in the wrong place, but Apple is definitely going to be closing any of these injection exploits as they're used, in a way that's similar to the jailbreak for the first-gen phone. Every time we did a jailbreak for the first-gen phone, they patched the hole that was used. Similarly, with the soft unlock, anytime they see how we're injecting this unlock code itself, they are going to fix it. And it's going to go away real fast. So injection holes are easy for Apple to identify because we basically use them. But the important, in my mind, what's important is that, fine, there will be this cat and mouse game, as Steve Jobs mentioned over and over again, between us and Apple, between the community and Apple. But we really believe, or I really believe, that the unlock code that's injected, even though the injection may change, the code that's injected is not fixable. And hopefully I'll explain it in a second. There was a live demo of the unlock a couple days ago. I don't think we have time for that. Okay. This is on the blog, but this is, whoa. How do I do that in preview mode? I can't do it. That's not playing. Like, I thought I could just click on it to. Anyone use Keynote? It's on the blog. No. Okay. Anyway, the demo's on the blog. What helped with the development of the soft unlock was IDA. It was not just the second-gen phone, but the first-gen phone. Again, we had the unencrypted flash files of the baseband firmware, so we were able to reverse engineer without even needing to have it on the phone. We were able to statically reverse engineer different stages, or the different stages involved in the baseband boot. GeriSim itself was very important, it turned out. During that long gap I mentioned, where Apple wasn't really doing any updates to the firmware, we were actively using GeriSim to really, we had an early release of the 1.45 firmware, and we had a lot of time to sort of peek and poke at that firmware using GeriSim. So even though GeriSim wasn't really used in the field, it was used internally a lot. What also helps is we have team members that have these different hardware rigs for probing for these injection exploits, basically. So this is from W, or W underscore, I think. This is a rig that he has to basically, without going into the details, is basically a MUX there that muxes between the real SIM card and a PIC controller. And he's allowed to, it allows him to quickly sort of fuzz the baseband for holes in the SDK and for other parts of the SIM. Obviously, the internet is a big help because there's a lot of, the S Gold and the S Gold 3 is not unique to Apple. Other phones use it. There are other groups doing similar things for other phones. There are address maps. There's all sorts of low-level hardware things that are identified just because there were simultaneous parallel efforts for other devices. There's nothing left to be done for the first-gen phone. The application side is completely pwnable. There's no way they can fix it. We have complete control over the baseband for the first-gen phone. Second-gen phone, for now, soft unlock is great. It's a great first step. It'd be nice to have a permanent unlock similar to the first-gen phone. The problem with the soft unlock is every new baseband version, people will update to it blindly. They'll lose the soft unlock, and they'll have to wait for a new injection exploit to be found to inject the unlocking code. But the unlocking code itself, again, won't need to be changed. It may need to be relocated because the firmware changes location. But the code itself, is not, it's not taking advantage of a bug that Apple does in the firmware. It's basically just reprogramming the firmware. And there's very little that Apple can do to change that. We're basically just changing their decision dynamically in RAM. This is the last slide. These are the two remaining things. We really need to find the boot ROM because we really would like to have a more permanent unlock, assuming there is an exploit that can be found and used to break the chain of trust. And there's this other side project. There's a lot of utility in dumping GSM packets and logging them, and there are a few devices that cost very little that allow you to do that. And the technique used in the soft unlock, because it's running along with the existing firmware, interactively, cooperatively, it's running there, it can sort of deal with the same packets that are being processed, allows basically you to dump and log. And that's the last slide. Oh, man. So, we have how many minutes? We have 3 minutes, I guess, for questions.
Any questions?
Good questions. Come on.
For any of this, for anyone, including our Phantom Dev members down there.
English, Russian, whatever, you know.
If you have a question, yell it.
Are there any questions at all? Do you want to come up to a mic?
Somebody over there. Yes.
Hello. I've heard Apple is now trying to attack you on OS X directly. Is there any truth about them trying to block you running your Pwnage tool on OS X, or
that was actually a bug. We believe it was a bug, not a specific.
Wishing actually had a chance to look into that.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually a bug, and in fact, iTunes itself breaks also with the same bug. So it looks like it's not specific to Pwnage tool.
So it's not a malicious attack by Apple. It's simply a bug.
We think it'll go away real soon on its own. But there's also a fix for it, and it's on hackintosh.org.
Is it possible to dump the ROM of second generation devices by just unsoldering the chip, the ROM chip, and then soldering it to a test board and dumping it from the hardware perspective?
Not the boot ROM, no.
Where is it stored? Is it inside the chip or?
I didn't understand that full question.
Can you desolder the chip and dump the
yeah.
boot ROM?
Yeah, you should. Well, all right. So there's two answers to that depending on the phone. The first gen phone, you could definitely unsolder the NOR chip. You could reprogram the bootloader, and with the reprogrammed bootloader, you could have whatever firmware you wanted in there. Because again, the boot ROM did not check the bootloader. On the second gen phone, you cannot do that because of that check that's done by the boot ROM. If you try to muck up that bootloader in any way, it just won't boot.
Yes, but I mean, if you open a phone and just take the ROM chip and dump it with a hardware dumper.
So when we're talking about a ROM chip, we're talking about something, it's not actually an external chip.
Oh, right,
it's buried inside the processor.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, remember that SoC block diagram I showed with that 100 rectangles? The boot ROM is one of those 100 rectangles.
Any more questions?
There's some guy there.
Yeah,
Good night.
Somebody there in a fetching yellow T-shirt. He's.
In the lecture before this, downstairs in S2, there was a guy who was shaving the tops of the chips off and then sticking pins in to read the data inside the chips.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to that guy.
So I was just thinking, yeah, that would be a way to dump the memory out of the chip.
Absolutely, definitely.
I'm wondering if you get hands on an Italy iPhone, if you cannot just dump the bootloader from this one and reprogram.
Sorry, could you speak up? We can't hear you.
I said, I'm just wondering if you get your hands on an Italy iPhone, if you just can dump the information from this one and load it in your own bootloader. The Italy iPhone is a free one, as you well know. So I wonder if you can just dump the information out of it
Are you mixing the phone generations, or are you saying with the second gen?
The second generation iPhone, what you buy in the land called Italy, is free. So there you can put in any SIM card you wish. I bought one and I have an O2 card in it, and I activated with the O2 card and I said no problem. So I was wondering if you just can dump the bootloader by itself and find out information why they can have it for free and other one are locked.
Now, I tried to address that earlier. The code base itself is identical. There's nothing different between the code and a locked and an unlocked phone. The only difference is in the sec zone. And the sec zone has the advantage, or the whole purpose behind the sec zone is it's unique to your phone. It cannot, the information in that sec zone cannot be copied. If you take, by way of example, if you take an unlocked phone, officially unlocked phone, and copy that sec zone into another unlocked phone, you'll break that second phone. It won't even function anymore. You just cannot copy that sec zone.
About 5 minutes left. Any more questions at all?
5 minutes. Oh my God.
Don't be shy. Come on.
All right. Well, shall we just wrap it up then?
Any more questions finally? No?
Is there any motivation left for you?
So the question at the front is, have we had any communication with Apple? And from the beginning of the project in 2007, we've not had one single communication from them whatsoever. And,
I talked to Wozniak, and there's a picture of him holding up the phone on our blog.
So Woz is a fan, and I've sent him some email and stuff, but no, they haven't contacted us formally with any cease and desists or anything like this. We're very careful about what we ship. There's no copyrighted code in there, and that's the reason we think we're not hassled by them. But they're pretty nice to us. So
they do fix the bugs, though.
Yeah, they fix the bugs. So
Sorry? Is there any motivation left?
Sorry?
Do you have enough motivation for the next iPhone generation?
Oh yeah, of course.
Motivation.
It's fun, isn't it?
Okay, one last question.
I got an iPhone in Netherlands. And
Speak up, please.
I got an iPhone in Netherlands, and they give you SIM unlock. And once you connect the iPhone to iTunes, they somehow unlock it. So what would they...
Could you speak up, please? We can't hear you.
I got an iPhone in Netherlands from T-Mobile.
Yes.
And once you pay some extra money, they will unlock it for you.
Yeah. So I think it's the same question again. No.
Right.
No. Okay, well, thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you later. Thanks.